Welcome to Gamma Radio with your host, Gil Mancha. This is my chronological discussion of the strongest one there is, The Incredible Hulk. Disclaimer, I will be actively getting and collecting issues as we go, and I'm trying to only cover issues that I have a physical copy of or are in a collected edition. I'm going to try to stray away from digital because I love physical media, but the Marvel Unlimited app would be a great way to keep up with the podcast. We'll of course start with his original self-titled comic. There's a few others, some TV shows, movies, and even some video games we can discuss. And trust me, I'd love to discuss those games down the line. Be sure to hit the follow button on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or preferred platform to get episodes as soon as they drop. While you're there, please leave a review so the show can be recommended to other comic book fans. In today's episode, the Green Goliath teams up with royalty against Earth's mightiest heroes in the Avengers Volume 1, Issue 3, The Avengers Meet Submariner. This issue was released on November 5th, 1963. Links will be in the podcast notes. Let's take a look back at what else was happening that day in history.
The duck can't cover, sports fans. He's hulking out.
The best-selling single in the US was Sugar Shack by Jimmy Gilmer and the Fireballs, and in the UK was You'll Never Walk Alone by Jerry and the Pacemakers. The top of the box office was Cleopatra. Children and teens were watching shows like Tom and Jerry, The Gumby Show, The Adventures of Spunky and Tadpole, and The Dick Tracy Show. If you're a child, you're likely to be playing with toys like Basket, Miniature Basketball, Astrobase, Etch-a-Sketch, and the Tammy Doll. Sugar Shack by Jimmy Gilmer and the Fireballs is a pop-rock pop song written by Keith McCormick in 1962. The song was recorded in 1963 by Jimmy Gilmer and the Fireballs at Norman Petty Recording Studios in Clovis, New Mexico. The unusual and distinctive instrumental part was played by Norman Petty on a Hammock Solivox keyboard Model L Series A. Sugar Shack hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, staying 5 weeks, and the Cashbox Singles charts staying 3 weeks. The Billboard R&B chart time as number 1 was cut short because there was a period of time where they did not publish the R&B chart for a couple years. Gilmer and the Fireballs were the last American band to chart before Beatlemania hit. The song was featured in films like Mermaids, Dogfight, Forrest Gump, Congo, and Stealing Sinatra, and in the television show Supernatural. You'll Never Walk Alone by Jerry and the Pacemakers is a 1963 cover of a show tune operatic pop song from the 1945 Rodgers and Hammerstein musical Carousel. This version is a Mercy Beat orchestral pop song. You'll Never Walk Alone peaked at number 1 on the UK singles chart for 4 weeks. It also peaked at number 1 on the following charts: Australia's Kent Music Report, Ireland's IRMA, and New Zealand's Lever Hit Parade. In several soccer, or football as it's referred to in that region, teams adopted the song as their anthem. Some include Liverpool FC, Scottish team Celtic, Dutch team FC20, and many others. In ice hockey, the song has been adopted by German and Croatian teams that I cannot pronounce. Sugar Shack seems to be about a guy who's in love with a girl that works in a coffee house. They get married and reminisce. It has a fondness for the past and I think could be a good coffee commercial song. You'll Never Walk Alone is a good song, but after reading that so many teams use it as their anthem, I thought it would be more epic, like We Will Rock You, but it feels more like a love song, and I think it's the difference between the two that I thought that it would be and what it actually is that affects my personal enjoyment. I prefer Sugar Shack between the two because of this. We covered Cleopatra in the last episode, so since you're keeping up with the podcast, you already know all about it. We already covered the Gumby Show in a previous episode, so since you're keeping up with the podcast, you already know all about that. Tom and Jerry is an American animated media franchise and series of comedy short films created in 1940 by William Hanna and Joseph Barbera. Best known for its 161 theatrical short films produced by Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, the series centers on the rivalry between a cat named Tom and a mouse named Jerry. Throughout the years, the term and title Tom and Jerry became practically synonymous with never-ending rivalry, as much as the related cat and mouse fight metaphor has. Yet in Tom and Jerry, it was not the more powerful Tom who usually came out on top. Their first animated short was in 1940's Puss Gets the Boot. Throughout the years, 7 of the shorts won the Academy Award for Best Short Subject Cartoons, but was nominated for a total of 13. Tom and Jerry would go on to be in cartoons, movies, a musical, video games, and even a Japanese spin-off comic. Here's some more fun facts. Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner were originally meant to be a parody of Tom and Jerry. In The Simpsons, the Itchy and Scratchy Show is a spoof of Tom and Jerry, a cartoon within a cartoon. In an episode of the series titled Krusty Gets Cancelled, Worker and Parasite, a replacement cartoon for Itchy and Scratchy, is a reference to Soviet-era animation. The Italian adult black comedy comic strip Squeak the Mouse, created by artist Massimo Mattioli, satirizes Tom and Jerry, taking the content to extreme levels, which includes gore, horror, violence, and explicit sexual content. Tom and Jerry made a cameo appearance in the 1992 animated TV special The Rosie and Buddy Show, which I think is a cartoon about a child Roseanne. The version that was out when I was a kid was Tom and Jerry Kids, which ran from 1990 to 1993 on Fox Kids. Despite the name, Tom was a kitten and Jerry was a baby, and each episode was split into 3 segments or stories. It was the perfect show for my age group and was a great watch as reruns on a sick day. The original Tom and Jerry shorts are available to stream on Tubi, MeTV, Boomerang if that's still up, and several YouTube channels officially, of course. You can purchase the 1950 shorts on Prime Video. The Adventures of Spunky and Tadpole is an animated television series produced by Beverly Hills Productions and syndicated beginning on September 6, 1958. The show's characters were a boy and a bear who hunted down bad guys. The show was made in 3.5-minute episodes, with 10 parts comprising each story. It was most frequently shown 1 episode a day as part of a local station's afternoon children's programming. The show remained in production until September 9, 1961, airing 150 episodes. There's no official way to watch the show in order, but I'm sure if you search YouTube you could find some. The Dick Tracy Show is an American animated television series based on Chester Gould's comic strip Crime Fighter. The series was produced from 1961 to 1962 by UPA. It ran for 1 season for 130 episodes. The cartoon was a success perhaps as a child's version of the Untouchables that was popular at the time. Local hosts of the show offered Dick Tracy Crime Stopper badges and certificates that the viewers could request by mail. Mattel Toys manufactured a series of toy guns and a board game with the Dick Tracy logo, and the Crime Stoppers could communicate with each other by toy Dick Tracy wrist radios. The Dick Tracy Show was pulled from syndication in the mid-1970s and mid-1980s and was not seen for years after racist undertones and use of ethnic stereotypes and accents. Some Asian and Hispanic viewers charged that Joe-Jitsu and Go-Go Gomez were offensive stereotypes. There's no official way to stream the show, but you can find episodes and clips on YouTube and Dailymotion. We already covered Basket, Miniature Basketball, Astro Base, Etch-a-Sketch, and the Tammy Doll in previous episodes, so since you're keeping up with the podcast, you already know all about them. If you're familiar with either songs or the top movie, let me know. On the Spotify app on phone and PC, there's now a comment section. You can do it there or on social media. That's a taste of what the world was like when the Avengers Issue 3 was released.
Ow, I hurt myself changing this tire!
I'm reading this thanks to Marvel Epic Collection The Incredible Hulk Volume 1 Man or Monster, but it's also available via Marvel Epic Collections The Avengers Volume 1, Epic Marvel Collection Namor Submariner Volume 1, Marvel Masterworks Avengers Volume 1, Avengers Omnibus Volume 1, and honestly several others, but those are probably the best to buy physically. If you prefer a black and white style, then Essential Series The Avengers Volume 1 works, but that series is already ended, so you'll have to go to another from where that one leaves off if you want to keep reading Avengers comics. The story was written and edited by Stan Lee, penciled and also written by Jack Kirby, inked by Paul Raymond, colored by Stan Goldberg, and lettered by Sam Rosen. The cover shows Thor throwing his hammer forward, Giant Man with a fist ready, and Iron Man in a defensive pose as the three go through a tunnel. In the foreground, Hulk and Namor have broken a wall between the two groups. At the top is a yellow arrow that says, "This is the issue you've been waiting for." It's pointing to a red pointy text box, "The Hulk and Submariner versus the Avengers." At the bottom is a red diagonal strip that says, "One of the greatest battles of all time." In Tales of Suspense 48, Iron Man upgrades his armor to his Mach 3 model during his battle against Mr. Doll. His prior costume looked like a gold version of the Mark 1 from the MCU when Tony built his first suit in the cave. This new version is much less bulky and has the classic red-gold color scheme. In Avengers issue 2, Hulk quit the team, and since he doesn't have his own title, that was the last issue he was in. The other members had their own titles, so they had adventures in between. The About This Issue section on the Marvel Unlimited app for this issue says, "Earth's mightiest heroes must face Marvel's mightiest malcontents, the Hulk and the Submariner teaming up for the first time, featuring the Fantastic Four and the X-Men." After the break, we'll summarize the issue. What it do, guys? Mandrame here, and if you like board games, especially deck building games, you should check out at Team_Thunder on YouTube. There we have unboxings and games of Legendary, a Marvel deck building game, the DC deck building game, the Transformers deck building game, and many more. That's where you can find VODs for this, Accelerated Visions, a Spider-Man 2099 podcast, and Water Damage, an Aquaman podcast where you can directly leave a comment and we can discuss the issues.
No, not the Hulk. Not now.
The Avengers meet Submariner. Behind the Submariner name is the man himself with a yellow arrow that points to him. He doesn't come till page 15, but when he does, wow. Under the Submariner name are the heads of Thor, Iron Man, Giant Man, and the Wasp. In the middle is a full-body image of the Hulk with his right shoulder to a wall. He has a yellow arrow pointing at him that says, featuring the Incredible Hulk. At the bottom is a pink text box that says, a Marvel Comics group extravaganza of superhero stars. Thor, Wasp, and Giant Man sit at a table with Iron Man standing in front of it, leaning forward with his hands on it. Holding their monthly meeting in the home of Tony Stark, millionaire weapons maker, the Avengers don't suspect that he is really one of their members, the one called Iron Man. Iron Man says, I tell you, we've got to find the Hulk. So long as he's running wild, there's no telling what he'll do. There's an asterisk after his statement, and at the bottom of the panel is a green text box that explains it, saying, in our last issue, the Hulk unexpectedly quit the Avengers. Thor says, Iron Man is right, so says Thor. Wasp asks, but how do we find him? Giant Man says, he's one Joker you can't find in the classified ads. Iron Man goes to a room with a giant device. He explains, Anthony Stark, whose home we're using for this meeting, is not only a famous weapons inventor, but a master of all kinds of transistor-powered devices, such as this image projector, for example. It will enable me to put a search for the Hulk in motion in just a few seconds. Watch. He pulls a lever. As Iron Man activates a projector, the device works like an ultra-frequency TV set, beaming his image in whichever direction he has set the circuits for. Though I remain here, my image can be sent to any destination. Like this. Iron Man has a yellow circle around him with lines coming off that lead to hazy outlines of his silhouette. Traveling at the speed of light, Iron Man's electronic image reaches its first objective, the world-famous skyscraper tower of New York's Baxter Building. Perhaps the most miraculous part of Stark's invention is the fact that the image which is projected can see, hear, and be heard also. Wherever it is, a transparent image of Iron Man appears while the thing is putting on a scarf. The hologram says, forgive my sudden appearance, fella. I have a request to make. Send a letter, pal. I've got a date tonight, and I ain't breaking it for anyone. The hologram reaches towards him, but I'm trying to locate the Hulk. I thought you might help. The thing puts on his sunglasses, green hat, and grabs a bouquet of flowers as he goes to leave the room. What do I look like, a bloodhound? Now step aside. You're breathing on my buttercups. Iron Man's hologram moves to a room where the Human Torch is sitting in a machine feeding flames to a device as Reed is outside wearing a helmet, stretching his arm to turn a dial on a nearby machine. Iron Man thinks, I always heard that the thing was bad-tempered, but there's the one I want, Mr. Fantastic. The Human Torch sees him. Look, Reed, we've got company. It's Iron Man. I'll turn off the flame meter. Iron Man walks into the room. The Avengers are trying to find the Hulk, Richards, and Reed takes off the helmet and approaches the hologram, saying, I'd like to help you, but as you can see, I'm in the middle of an experiment in flame control. I'm afraid the Torch and I can't stop now. A nicely dressed Sue enters the room, saying, Reed, I'm leaving for the fashion show now, and, oh, you've got company. Iron Man motions to Reed. Well, if you should hear anything about the Hulk, Reed puts the helmet back on. If I do, I'll be happy to contact you. And now, I can't let those iron tubes burn out. Sue walks away wearing a green dress and heels and holding an orange dress, a yellow dress, and a red and black box, saying, If I bump into him at the fashion show, I'll give you a jingle. Ta-ta, boys. Minutes later, after searching the city at unimaginable speeds, Iron Man finds he appears floating near the side of a building and thinks, Spider-Man, perhaps we can enlist his aid. Spider-Man is standing on the side of a building holding his web, which has 3 criminals with guns entangled in it from the roof of the building, with 2 of them actively shooting their guns. Spider-Man tells him, Why fight it, guys? It'll only hurt for a minute. Spider-Man then creates a web bridge between 2 buildings, encasing the criminals in the bundle of web in the middle. Spider-Man turns his head to the hologram of Iron Man and says, Suffering spider webs. I must be working too hard. I'm seeing things. Don't be alarmed. I'm just trying to find the Hulk. Spider-Man tells him, Look, do I tell you my problems? I've got my hands full right now. Why don't you try the Missing Persons Bureau? Iron Man's hologram flies away saying, Thanks for nothing, Sonny. But that reminds me, there is one more place I can try. Seconds later, at Professor Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters, Angel's flying around, Iceman is standing back, and Beast is going through an obstacle course when his feet go through hologram Iron Man. As he goes through Iron Man, Beast says, "Hey, where'd you come from?" From the side, Jean and Cyclops push Xavier's wheelchair. The professor says, "What is this? Who dares interrupt our training period?" Iron Man approaches him to apologize as Iceman passes his arm through the hologram and Beast scratches his head in confusion. "Sorry, sir, but this will only take a minute. If you happen to receive any word of Hulk's whereabouts, I'd appreciate your contacting the Avengers. I took the liberty of barging in because the Angel had told me to contact you if I ever needed a favor." There's an asterisk after this statement at the bottom of the panel in a red text box that says, "See Tales of Suspense, number 49, Iron Man and the Angel." The professor responds, "I see." He then points a finger. "We shall notify you as you request if we hear anything about the Hulk. And now my training class is still in session, so I'll thank you to leave by the same means as you arrived." Finally, Iron Man's electronic image returns to the Avengers meeting room. Iron Man turns the lever on the machine, turning it off. "I'm afraid I wasn't too successful. I alerted the Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, and the X-Men. But they're all pretty much wrapped up in their own affairs right now. Anyway, I had a chance to test my image projector," Thor says. "Before we set out on a time-consuming worldwide search, why don't we contact young Rick Jones?" Ant-Man agrees. Thor's right. He's the only one who can control the Hulk. Perhaps he can find him. Wasp adds, "He's a short radio ham. He's probably on his set right now." And halfway across the country, in the great Southwest, a grim-faced teenager receives the Avengers' message. With a headset on, he replies to their message, "I understand, sir. He might be in this area. It's his old stamping grounds. I'll start searching at once." A half hour later, Rick is running through the desert when he sees someone. The Hulk is too dangerous to roam out of control. He might... Hey, what's that? It's an older man with a hat running his way. "Stay back, boy. Stay back. Don't come any further." The two meet up and the older man puts his hand on Rick's shoulder and points in the direction he came. "There's some kind of monster loose back there. Biggest creature I ever saw. I'm going to notify the police right now." Rick thinks, I'm in luck. It must be the Hulk. I've got to reach him before the police do. Disregarding the old man's advice, Rick walks in the direction he warned him about, and from the distance he sees the Hulk reaching an arm into the lake. He thinks, I was right. There he is now. But what's he doing? Why is he reaching into that lake? Rick makes it to the Hulk as he pulls a jeep from the water. Here it is. I knew I'd find it. Some fool stranger drove this thing right into the lake and ran off. As soon as he saw me, Rick approaches. Hulk, it's me, Rick. Listen to me. Hulk walks up to Rick as he continues. The police will be coming after you soon. You've got to return to your cave. Bah, why should I run? I've done nothing wrong. Rick answers, but people are scared of you. You know that. And in their panic, they might try to destroy what they fear. Swayed by Rick's words, the Hulk hurls himself into the air with the mightiest leg muscles on Earth, as a slim teenager clings to his shoulders. A short time later, they enter a hidden cave which leads deep under the ground. Leading the way, Hulk says, I'm sick of running. Why should I fear other humans? I can smash them all. You don't mean that, Hulk. You're tired. You need a rest. Soon, the incredible creature stands in front of a strange ray machine, a machine built by the man he once was. Rick helps Hulk get to the right spot and tells him, Don't move now, I'll flip the switch. Seconds later, the massive Herculean body is bombarded by a blast of blinding gamma rays. Energy envelops his body. Gamma rays, the mysterious discovery of Bruce Banner so many months ago. The rays which turned Bruce Banner himself into the Hulk. The green leaves his skin and he begins changing. Finally, the onslaught ends. And where stood the titanic form of the Hulk, we now find the stunned, exhausted figure of Dr. Bruce Banner, atomic scientist. Bruce says, The nightmare's over. I'm myself again. Rick supports Bruce by the arm. It's lucky for us. You get worse each time you become the Hulk. You get harder to control. Rick gets Bruce to a bed and puts covers over him. You gotta rest now. Now, Doc, everything's gonna be okay. Lock the cavern door, Rick, and don't leave me. In case I change again, I don't dare. And so the boys' long vigil begins. Rick sits with his back to the door, with his left hand over his forehead as he thinks, It's all my fault. He became the Hulk when he saved my life by letting the gamma rays hit him. I can't ever desert him. But behind the massive door, as the night drags on, rest eludes Bruce. Can't sleep, can't stop thinking of the Hulk. It's the gamma rays. He starts turning, his face contorting and skin becoming green. Rick didn't give me a strong enough dose. Can't remain as Bruce Banner. But why should I remain as the weak Banner? He fully changes to the Hulk. Why shouldn't I be the Hulk? Why be a puny scientist when I can be the most powerful man walking the earth? And then, with the sudden fury of a thunderclap, Hulk bursts through the door and makes a hole in the wall. Rick is just able to evade the destruction. He's the Hulk again. He's stronger than ever. He tries to reason with the Hulk. Hulk, wait, stop. Hulk brushes him aside and Rick thinks, no use. He doesn't even hear me. He's completely out of control. Frantic minutes later, at a local Teen Brigade radio room. Running in, Rick slams the door open. Let me at that set, condition red. A teen carrying a device says, look guys, it's Rick. Grimly, the young leader of the Teen Brigade sends out an urgent call. Calling Avengers. Have located Hulk. He's in New Mexico, Sector B. On the rampage. Come at once. And 2,000 miles to the east, at the home of Tony Stark, the radio goes off. Come at once. Tony, wearing a white suit and smoking a pipe, says, this is it. The Hulk must be stopped. Tony's almost suited up. Even the other Avengers don't know that Tony Stark is really Iron Man. Just as I don't know their secret identities. Well, I've got to alert them now. Later, at the lab of Giant Man the Wasp, a private phone rings and, while on the phone, Wasp says, it's Iron Man, the Hulk has been found. Henry starts to suit up. We'll leave at once. Get the location from him. Once ready, he says, I can travel faster on my flying ant. So take your shrinking capsule. Didn't anyone ever teach you to say please, lover boy? They both do so and shrink to ant size. Back to Iron Man, and now suited up is in the air thanks to his propulsion boots. Now for the Hulk. Giant Man and the Wasp are on the way, and I called Thor's private number and left a message. Riding a flying ant, Ant-Man says, we'll reach the airport in minutes and hitch a ride on the fastest jet. Flying beside him is Wasp. Know something, handsome? You look like the poor man's Ben-Hur on that silly ant.
Gamma wave!
Ben-Hur is a 1959 American religious epic film. The specific reference is a chariot race in Ben-Hur, and Ant-Man is riding a flying ant that reminds Wasp of said race.
Gamma tsunami!
While at the consulting room of Dr. Don Blake, holding a bottle of pills, Blake says to a nurse, it's been a busy day and I'm rather tired, Jane, so I'm closing the office early. She thinks, oh Don, if only you didn't pamper yourself so. If only you were more rugged. But, once alone in his office, the pampered Dr. Blake strikes his walking stick once upon the floor, and the mighty Thor appears. Now the god of thunder, he says, now for the Hulk. He goes to a rooftop outside and begins swinging his hammer. Iron Man's message said he was sighted in New Mexico, Sector B. It will not take the Avengers long to reach the spot, for we each have our own unique methods of travel. Sometime later, having been the first to leave, Iron Man is first to arrive at the appointed place, only to see, in the distance Iron Man sees someone. He says, there's Rick, but why is he trying to wave me away? The Avenger in the iron garb gets his answer one staggering second later. Hulk jumps from behind a boulder and punches Iron Man. Wham! Recovering from a blow that would have finished any human not protected by an armored suit, Iron Man quickly manipulates his short-range power repulsor, and then, he thinks, one brief transistor-powered energy blast should give me a few seconds time to think of a plan. He blasts the ground, saying, I'll direct the beam at those boulders in front of Hulk. This won't stop him, but it's sure to slow him down. In doing so, boulders and wind go flying at the Hulk. To stop from being blown away, Hulk hangs onto a cactus. Bah, is that the best you can do? He stands up and plucks the cactus from the ground and says, the Hulk doesn't need an iron suit to get his power. He then squeezes the cactus, sliding in the direction of Iron Man, and thinks, if I can force some of these cactus needles into the opening of his suit, they may put him out of action. Iron Man picks up a long rock and crouches behind it to block the needles. You're wasting your time, fella. Why don't you stop fighting and let me talk to you? But the Hulk is in no mood to be reasoned with, and as the cactus needles continue to fly, they seem like huge javelins to two newcomers to the scene. Ant-Man halts his movement on the ant and tells his partner, take cover, Wasp. Head for the anthill. You don't have to tell me twice, playmate. As they approach the anthill, Wasp says, wait, Hank. The Hulk ran out of cactus needles. No need to take cover now. Do as I said, Jan. I have a reason for entering the anthill. Once inside, the astonishing Henry Pym communicates with the ants by means of his unique cybernetic helmet. With hundreds of ants around them, Wasp says, why don't you turn into Giant Man, Hank? He can do lots more than tiny Ant-Man can. Wrong, Jan. Even Giant Man can't match the Hulk's strength. This calls for cunning. Obeying the orders transmitted by Ant-Man, the diligent insects drop countless pebbles into a fast-rushing underground stream. While up above, Iron Man continues to try to reason with the Hulk. He points at the Hulk. We don't want to fight you, Hulk, but we can't let you run amok through the countryside. You've got to stay with us. Work with us as a team. Hulk raises a fist. No, you can't fool me. You all hate me, fear me because I'm the strongest. If I stay with you, you'll find some way to destroy me. Meanwhile, directly under the Hulk's feet, the pebbles have dammed up the underground stream, and the rushing water, having no place to go, bursts to the surface, causing the ground underfoot to crumble. A wave of water comes up over the Hulk. Iron Man jumps up over the water and thinks, this must be the work of Ant-Man to trap the Hulk. But the plan proves to be in vain, for the Hulk's unbelievably strong leg muscles catapult him to safety. Now in the air, Hulk puts his hands over his head to wind up to bring them down. Here's where I snap that armor plate of yours like a tin can. Iron Man grabs Hulk by the waist. Don't count on it, Buster. I'm not exactly helpless up here. He lets him go and uses his repulsor on the Hulk. Did I ever tell you about my magnetic repulsors? How they can spin a body around in the air, attracted by its iron content? Thor comes in flying. Let me have him, Iron Man. Dizzy from the rapid whirling he has endured, the Hulk seizes a natural rock formation below and uses it to break his spin. As Thor appears on the scene, this'll slow me down. Thor approaches a sitting Hulk. Hear me, Hulk, I am not as merciful as Iron Man. I order you to return to the Avengers, or suffer my wrath. Holding his head, Hulk says, just wait till my head clears, Longhair, and then we'll see who does the suffering. Iron Man warns, careful, Thor, he's capable of anything. Hulk says, Tin Man, you don't know just how capable I am, and now I'm gonna give you a demonstration. Using the might of his powerful legs, he leaps into the air. You want me? Come and get me. Thor twirls his hammer, after him. Using his repulsor boots, Iron Man flies up. We'll do that little thing. Thor, using the momentum of the spun hammer and Iron Man with his boots, fly past Hulk due to him hunching over. Hulk says, I was hoping you'd do that. While you go up, I'll crash down again. Once he lands, he makes a run for it. Nobody knows this part of the country like I do. I figured it perfect. Landed right in this old abandoned mine shaft. He crouches with a fist held forward and says, by the time they figure out which tunnel I took, it'll be too late for them. He makes his way up through a hole in the ground as the train passes by. I thought I heard a train rumble in overhead. Just what I need. He jumps up and grabs onto the ladder on the side of the train. Iron Man points at him. There he goes. Thor is beside him. We've got him now. Hulk looks back and thinks, they're faster than I thought. There's gotta be some way to make him stop hounding me. Suddenly, the Incredible Hulk seizes an empty caboose in his powerful hands and, from the car in front, he tosses the caboose at Iron Man and Thor, saying, here, chew on this for a while. But mighty Thor and Iron Man crash through the flying car as though it were made of cardboard. Thor smashes it with his hammer and Iron Man flies through it. Iron Man says, that hammer of yours is a handy gizmo to have around, Thor. As Iron Man approaches, Hulk grabs the crane of a train car. If that didn't stop you, this will. Before he throws it, Iron Man puts out his hands. Hulk, wait. You can't keep this up forever. You can't fight all of us. Can't battle all of mankind. Who says I can't? He swings the crane at Iron Man, who puts up his hands and thinks, have to drop off. Can't let that crane hit me. Thor lands on the train and approaches Hulk, who says, still after me, huh, Thunder God? Okay, I'm ready for you. He lies down and grabs something metal off the side of the car and thinks, all I gotta do is grab me a hunk of this steel cable. Using the spool of steel cable, he wraps the Thunder God. There, can't do much harm with that hammer of yours if you can't swing it. Don't discount my strength, Hulk. I'll break free of this cable as soon as I flex my muscles. Hulk opens the side door of a car and pulls out bags of flour. Maybe so, but I'm not gonna hang around and wait. He looks past Thor. Giant Man, where'd he come from? Giant Man thinks, he doesn't know that I followed on my flying ant, and then took a growth capsule to become Giant Man when I reached the train. As Hulk moves towards him with the bags of flour, Giant Man says, those bags of flour you grabbed from the freight car won't do you any good, Hulk. You can't get away from me now. That's what everybody says. But no one's caught me yet, big man. Hulk leaps onto Giant Man. That overgrown arm of yours ain't too big for the Hulk to jump over. He leaps from Giant Man's forearm to the front of the train and begins pouring flour. Now all I gotta do is shove this flour into the smokestack, like this. Giant Man puts up his hands, saying, so that's why he took the flour. He created a smoke screen. I can't see. The smoke screen blinds even Giant Man's view so that when the train went through the tunnel, he's unaware until, whoom, he falls off the train. He's gone. I failed. As Giant Man gets up, the rest of the Avengers meet up with him. Iron Man says, don't reproach yourself, Giant Man. We've all failed. So as far as the Hulk is concerned, holding the last piece of steel cable, Thor says, it is because we do not wish to seriously injure him, so we pull our punches. That gives him the advantage. Giant Man agrees. Thor's right. Hulk tries every savage trick in the book, while we hold back, trying to reason with him, trying to save him from himself. Wasp says, we've lost him now, boys. I saw the train when it sped through Centerville, but he wasn't aboard any longer. Throughout the country, the search goes on, the search for the Hulk. A man with a green truck full of gravel says to military men, have I seen the Hulk? Are you kidding? If I ever saw him, I'd make this truck fly over the road. But later, when the driver dumps his load of gravel into a stream, he's unaware that he's dumping more than plain gravel. The Hulk was hiding among the gravel. Now swimming, he thinks. So far so good, they'll never find me now. Due to his incredibly powerful lungs, the Hulk can remain underwater for long periods of time, although, like a whale, he must surface for air eventually. As he swims among fishes, he thinks, the Gulf Stream isn't too far from here. Finally, after days in the water, even the Hulk's mighty body is on the verge of complete exhaustion. And then, as he floats aimlessly in the cold Atlantic, from a boat in the distance, someone says, hard to starboard, there's someone floating out there. Another person says, it can't be human, and yet, when Hulk and the ship meet, they pull Hulk aboard. When he's nearly at the top, one crew member says, look, it's the Hulk, he'll drown all of us. Overlooking seems to be an officer who says, don't be a fool, sailor, he's more dead than alive. Put him on deck and notify Washington immediately. One of the sailors pulling says, oof, pull harder, he must weigh a ton. But now our scene shifts to a secret undersea chamber where we find Namor watching the scene and turning a dial, he says. So far, everything's working out perfectly. He's wearing a headset with antennae. Little does the Hulk realize that his every movement is being followed by the monarch of the sea, Prince Namor, the Submariner. The Hulk's strength will return sooner than the humans suspect, and when it does, and when he abandons the ship, I'll be waiting for him. True to Namor's prediction, the matchless strength of the Hulk does return in short time, and then he looks off the ship and thinks, that deserted island, just the place for me. He grabs a rope and uses it to carefully jump off the ship. He says, I can grab me a passing ship anytime I want to. But first, I want a place where I can be alone, where I can plan my next moves against the human race that hates me. But when the mighty creature reaches the isle, he finds Namor sitting on the rocks near the water. He says to the Hulk, I have been waiting for you, Hulk, and you should be flattered, for, normally, the Submariner waits for nobody. With just his head and hands above water, Hulk grabs hold of a rock. The Submariner. They both stand on a larger rock. Hulk says, get off this island, fishman. I'm sick of looking at puny humans. Sick of the sound of their voices. Brainless dolt, you call me human? I am Namor, Prince of Atlantis. Hulk wraps his arms around Namor. I don't care who you are. You look like a human, and that's enough for me to want to toss you clear back to the mainland. What? You dare lay a hand on my royal personage? Namor extends out his arms and legs, breaking free of Hulk's grasp. You have much to learn, land-bound clod, and this is your first lesson. Hulk jumps at Namor, putting his giant hand on Namor's chest. You know something, little man? You shoot your mouth off too much. He pushes Namor down on the ground with spiked rocks to his left and right. Then Hulk slams down another flat rock sheet over the two spikes to pin Namor down. This'll quiet you down for a while, like forever. You still think you're dealing with a helpless human, do you? Well, we shall see. Namor flexes and breaks free. He then squats before Hulk. It is said that you are the strongest living creature on the surface of the earth. Well, know you this. Namor is the strongest of all the sea creatures. He leaps at the Hulk, and once I am in the water, my own natural element, my power will even exceed yours. Nothing stronger than the Hulk, not on land or sea or anywhere. The two go underwater with Namor pushing down the Hulk. You witless fool, you dare to doubt a prince of the blood? Here, many fathoms in the deep, you are at my mercy. Here I am supreme. He punches Hulk. Now, while you're reeling, all I need do is swim around you at whiplash speed to create a whirlpool which will drain you of all your strength. After, as Namor is pulling Hulk back ashore, he says, I trust I have made my point clear, Hulk. You are the strongest of land creatures, while I am completely invincible when in the water. Hulk stands up. Namor continues, we both share a burning hatred for the human race. If we act together, we shall bring humanity to its knees. You mean you want me to team up with you? Well, maybe it ain't such a bad idea at that. You're pretty tough for a little guy. Namor puts a foot back in the water. The humans are my sworn enemies. Because of them, I have lost my birthright, my people, everything I hold dear. There's an asterisk after this statement. At the bottom of the panel is a yellow square from the editor that says, see Fantastic Four Annual Number 1. Hulk says, I don't go for all that flowery talk, but I hate humans too. Namor walks further into the water and presses a button on a red device. Then it is agreed, our first mission will be to deliver a smashing defeat to the accursed Avengers. A red submarine with a crown decal surfaces. I shall summon my electronically controlled command ship to take us to our destination. But once inside the ship, as Namor is manning the controls of the sub, Hulk stands behind him thinking, I'll string along for a while, then smash him when he's off guard. Meanwhile, Namor thinks, He's too strong, too undependable. When he's served his purpose, I'll destroy him. Hours later, Namor's powerful command craft secretly slides under the surface to a mooring in the shadows of the mighty Gibraltar. Namor says to the Hulk, "This is where we shall battle the Avengers. For here we have both land and water. Our strength can be used to best advantage." Sure, if you say so, Fishman. Later, at Avengers HQ, the Avengers are standing in front of a radio. Iron Man says, "There's no doubt about it. The message is genuine. Submariner and the Hulk have joined forces and challenged us to battle." Thor raises his hammer. Then this time there can be no pulling of punches, no mercy asked or given. Yes, by Asgard, this time we fight to the finish. Wasp goes up to Thor. "I hope it won't be your finish, handsome, because I'm still waiting to see what you'd look like in an Ivy League suit and a crew cut. With those shoulders, those eyes. Giant Man picks her up by the bottom of her dress. "Aren't you ever gonna grow up, Wasp? Haven't you anything else on your mind? Well, happy day, do I see a glint of green in those big blue eyes of yours? Now put me down, you big show-off. This is very undignified." Not long afterwards, 3 of the world's most colorful evil smashers arrive at Gibraltar with an experimental prototype model of a new deep-sea jet, Basilscaf, designed and built at the weapons factory of Anthony Stark. Giant Man says, "Here we are. That Tony Stark sure can build a sub." Wasp says, "Wish we could have a talent like his in the Avengers." Iron Man thinks, "You've got me, gal. Too bad you don't know that Stark and Iron Man are the same fella." Once they get off the ship, the 4 make their way through the cave. Thor says, "Let us be careful. They said they would be waiting in these old caves under the giant rock." Giant Man says, "These caves were used by the British in World War II and later abandoned." Iron Man says, "Interesting. I understand there are still weapons here, which they left behind." A flying Wasp says, "Look out, I see one of those weapons up ahead." The Wasp was right, for directly in front of the Avengers are the Hulk and Namor manning a cannon. Hulk says, "This is a waste of time. We can't stop 'em with an old howitzer shell." "I am aware of that, slow-witted one, but it might make Thor hurl his hammer, and as soon as it leaves his hand, we strike." But mighty Thor does not hurl his great weapon. Instead, he stands winding back his hammer, about to strike the incoming shell with his full strength. "Stand back, all of you." Iron Man reaches with one hand. "No, Thor, it won't affect us, but the explosion may injure the Wasp. Let me handle it." He gets in front of Thor and puts one hand out. "There, I can make the shell reverse its trajectory with my magnetic repulsors." Giant Man says, "It's heading right back towards Hulk and Submariner." Wasp says, "And because of lovely little me, how gallant." When it returns, Namor jumps up with the help of his winged feet. "Duck, you ponderous, slow-moving clod. You must not be injured while I have need for your brutish strength." Hulk ducks, thinking, He thinks I'm just some kind of stooge, but he'll live to regret those words before I'm done." Namor pulls out a gun. No one knows how many transistor-powered weapons Iron Man has at his control, and so, I shall put him out of action first. Like this. He shoots, hitting Iron Man near his neck while Thor winds his hammer. Dust goes everywhere around Iron Man, clouding the red of his armor with yellow. Iron Man says, "He hit me with an emery dust pellet. It'll make my metal joints stiffen. I never expected." Thor throws his hammer. "Go to his aid, my giant ally. I shall keep our 2 foes at bay with my enchanted hammer." Iron Man falls forward and Giant Man catches him. Never saw anything happen so fast. He's stiff as a board. Can't move. Wasp, fly through these caves, quickly. See if you can find any old, abandoned oxygen equipment which may still be operational. From off-screen, she says, "Will do, lover boy." For the next few seconds, as the wonderful flying Wasp frantically searches the winding caves, Thor's thundering hammer ricochets from wall to wall. Hulk and Namor run for cover. Namor says, "Never have I witnessed such an awesome display of naked power." And exactly 58 seconds later, Thor calls his hammer back. "To me, my ponderous mallet." Behind him, Giant Man is attaching a tube to Iron Man's suit that's connected to a valve with canisters. "Good work, Wasp. Just what I wanted. This old air raid life-saving equipment should do the trick." Dust is emitted from Iron Man's suit. Giant Man says, "There. It's pumping out the emery dust." He's starting to move. Meanwhile, Wasp sees Hulk and Namor running away and she thinks, "They're up to something. I've got to follow. Together they're so powerful. I'm worried for the first time." Hulk looks back. The Avengers are just on the other side of this wall. "Now stay back, Fishman. I'll show you what the Hulk can do." Namor thinks, "I'll humor the thick-skinned fool for now, while I still need an ally." Hulk says, "Cover your ears, little man. They'll hear this halfway to Calcutta." He slams the back of his fist into the wall. Not having time to take cover, the unseen Wasp bears the full brunt of the Hulk's savage, eardrum-shattering blow as the tiny adventuress suddenly blacks out. Seconds later, still weak and dazed, she tries valiantly to dodge the stones which fall around her. She thinks, they may only be pebbles, but they're like huge boulders to me. But before the Hulk can launch another blow in his effort to bring the walls down upon the Avengers, the fighting mad trio thunders toward the source of the sound. As they approach, Wasp thinks, they don't see me, I'll be trampled. She finds a section of the ground that dips down so that when Iron Man walks over, there's a gap for her to hide in. She thinks, phew, thank heavens the ground here is so uneven. Regaining her strength, she flies up and thinks, I've had enough of being a lone wolf. I'm not leaving Giant Man's shoulder again till we're out of here. While directly above the Avengers, Namor is attaching something to an alarm device. He says, your fists are too slow, my bestial partner. I have modified this old air raid alarm so that its shrill, high-piercing blast will destroy any living being who comes too close. But suddenly, Giant Man grabs him by the waist. You're too little to be playing with such dangerous toys, fella. Thor says, well done, Giant Man. While in the air, Namor squeezes Giant Man's arm. Though you are twice my size, my strength is still far greater than yours. Ugh! Standing back, Hulk thinks, I won't interfere. I want to see how good that skinny fish face is without me. But before the Sea Monarch can shift his weight in order to exert the maximum pressure, Giant Man tosses Namor. He's all yours, Thor. Grab him. Iron Man intercepts. No, Thor is too angry. Sometimes he doesn't know his own strength. He uses his repulsor to blast Namor in midair. We don't want to kill Submariner, just reason with him. I'll try to stop him with my magnetic repulsor. Namor lands and grabs Iron Man by the foot. That was your first mistake, puny human. I expect no mercy, and I give none. Taken by surprise, Iron Man receives a crushing blow which damages his life-giving transistors. Wham! Iron Man is able to stand up. He puts a hand over his face, thinking, can't continue battle, must repair chest device. If transistors stop functioning, I'm doomed. Namor then leaps away, saying, and now to finish this charade. He leaps to Thor, who warns him, back, Submariner. Do not force me to strike your mortal body with my all-powerful mallet. Namor readies his fist. All-powerful, bah! I'll prove once and for all how overrated you are, you costumed clown. Before the two can clash, Hulk jumps in, grabbing Thor by the arm and hammer. You're the clown, flathead, if you think you can lick Thor alone. But now that you proved you can fight, I'll just step in and lend you a hand. He stands, grasping the hammer while Thor holds as well. Once I get this blasted war club away from him, the rest will be easy, Thor says. Nothing that lives can pry my hammer from the hand of Thor. Hulk grips his teeth and holds the hammer by the head and the handle. You're not talking to some weakling, Thunder God. I'm still the Hulk, and I can do anything. He lifts his knee as well and thinks, ugh, he was right. It's both my hands against his one, and I can't budge the thing. But I gotta keep trying. I'm twice his size. I'm the Hulk. The Hulk. Unexpectedly, at that very split second, the mighty Thor releases his grip on the Uru hammer, and it whirls through the cave like a thing alive. Thor says, I weary of this game. The hammer is yours, if you can grasp it. My muscles ache for battle, not tests of strength. Namor goes to grab the hammer, but is met with Thor. Stay back, Hulk. I'll get the hammer. I'm faster than you. The hammer moves in circles around them, Thor says. Fool, do you still not see that none but Thor can possess my mallet? Giant Man grabs Namor by the leg and shoulder. Step aside, Thor. I want another crack at this arrogant little freak. To me again, my enchanted mallet, Thor thinks. None must ever learn that I return to my mortal identity as Dr. Blake if my hammer is ever out of my hand for more than 60 seconds. Namor says, Hulk, where are you? I need you now. To my side, you lumbering oaf. Hulk readies his fists. You ever call me names like that again, Namor, I'll help you, all right. And when we've beaten the Avengers, I'll finish you next. But before the massive human dreadnought can reach his ally, a sudden change overcomes him, and then, in the gloom of the underground cave, his skin starts changing back to flesh tone. No. He's fully transformed. He puts his hands over his face and says, I've become Bob Banner again. It must have been the excitement, the stress. I'm my normal self. They haven't seen me yet. They mustn't. There's still a chance. If I run, I can still escape while they battle Namor. He runs around the corner and says, in another few seconds we might have won, or been destroyed ourselves, but now, we'll never know. Perhaps it's better this way. As Bob Banner, I've no hatred for the Avengers. I've nothing but a desire to flee to safety. Giant Man is getting Namor into a full Nelson. Still think you're stronger than me, little man? Namor thinks. My power is leaving me because I've been out of water for so long. I need the Hulk. Where is he? Has he deserted me? Behind them, Thor is spinning his hammer. He says, Hold him thus, Giant Man, while I find the Hulk again. Victory is now within our grasp. But in a last effort, Namor uses his winged feet to whirl around and does a flip kick to break free of Giant Man's grasp. This will prove that none can defeat the Monarch of the Sea. Thor throws his hammer. Iron Man has repaired his armor. I'll drive Namor towards him with my hammer. As Thor promised, his hammer whirls around Namor, driving him into the magnetic repulsor field of Iron Man, where he is temporarily pinned against a stone wall. From off-screen, Thor says, Now I am free to battle the Hulk, but there is no trace of him. He has fled. Stuck to the wall, Namor says, He deserted me, betrayed me. Now I realize no human can be trusted. I despise you all. Iron Man says, I've got news for you, brother. It's mutual. You're growing weaker by the minute, Namor. Why don't you give up? Let's try and talk this out. Namor grimaces, Never. While life remains within me, I shall fight you. I shall fight all mankind. With one last prodigious effort, the Submariner cracks the wall behind him as the water trickling down from above drips upon his steel-muscled body. Water, at last, water. Then, as new strength and new power surges into every fiber of his being, he breaks the wall. I'm free, nothing can hold me now. He makes a giant leap. Wasp flies up to the team. Thor, he's escaping, only your hammer can stop him. Hurl it. No, I have too much respect for his valor. Namor has earned his escape. Giant Man agrees. Thor's right. It's a pity the Submariner isn't on our side. Iron Man says, We've made a bad mistake. He doesn't fight by our rules. We may live to regret this. As the Prince of the Sea returns to his natural habitat, he says, On land I could not defeat them all, but I pray we meet again under the sea. Ah, how different the ending then shall be. And so the Avengers return home, weary and sad of heart, for they all sense that the adventure that they just concluded is but the prelude to a far bigger, a far more dangerous adventure to come. One thing you have learned to expect from the mighty Marvel group is the unexpected, and we promise you that the movie-length tale in next issue's Avengers will feature super characters and super surprises to exceed your wildest expectations. And after the break, we'll go over some thoughts and feelings about the issue.
What's happening to me?
My darling boy, my Bruce. Don't be afraid. Scientists aren't supposed to fear evolution.
Something that really strikes me both here and even in the MCU is how characters play up how strong the Hulk is, yet we really don't get to feel that power. Hulk already calls himself the strongest there is, and characters always say how dangerous and powerful he is. The only sense of growth that we get is when characters literally tell us. When Banner transforms back to Hulk in this issue, Rick says he's more powerful than ever, and his last appearance was in Avengers issue 1, so that's our frame of reference. From the last time we saw him, he's gotten stronger, rather than see a greater feat like between issues like we may have with the other characters. He had a quick fight with Namor, but didn't overpower him. When Namor got them both underwater, he just demolished him, literally swimming circles around him. Namor tells him he's the most powerful creature on land and himself the most powerful in the sea. But since he broke the Hulk's grip between the two, even a powered-up Hulk does seem weaker. Later, when Hulk is trying to keep the Avengers at bay, his solution is to hit a wall, and the intention of breaking it, but he wasn't actually able to, and because it took so long, Namor just had him stop. He's like, I'll just do it. On to the Thor interaction, not even a fight. He tries to pull the hammer from Thor's grip, but can't. I don't know if they've established that only those are worthy can hold the hammer, but here it just seems like he has a crazy strong grip. A single-handed grip that Hulk, trying his best with both hands, can't beat. Hopefully the next time he faces Thor, he gets a win. Granted, we do learn later that if Namor doesn't have water for a long time and Thor isn't holding a hammer for a time, both get weaker or even transform back. So if he knows this, the Hulk could get a win. But even with even playing fields, it doesn't seem that he beats either. I mentioned the MCU earlier, so I think I'll go back real quick. The last time it seemed Hulk was a big help was probably the Avengers. I have an army. We have a Hulk, and all that. In Age of Ultron, Iron Man has the Hulkbuster, which, as the name suggests, beats him. In Thor Ragnarok, not everyone was present, but Hulk loses his fight to Thor. Then Thanos, who's not using any Infinity Stones, beats him so bad that he refuses to come out in Infinity War. In Endgame, he's Smart Hulk, so aside from the bringing back people snap, we don't see strength feats or victories. He's in the big fight, but he wasn't part of the cool stuff like Cap, Iron Man, and Thor. The point is, they call him the strongest creature on Earth, but he's not even the strongest on the team. I don't know if they ever established in the MCU that the angrier he gets, the more powerful he is. In the 2003 movie, he does. And he actually grows in size as well, which actually feels a little silly to me, but it gives the viewer an unmistakable visual on the power growth for the character that's effectively silent, and so you don't get scenes like another character just telling you. It's more show than tell, which I think is better in a narrative sense. Stan Lee just got his name wrong. They retroactively made it canon as Robert Bruce Banner, which Rob can be shortened to Bob. But since this was never a thing before and never established, while I read it, it just took me out of it. Oh, and Namor and the Avengers left, so he was just stuck there. Both parties had gotten there by submarine, which Bruce had no access to. Maybe once he transforms again, he can swim or get a ride, but man, he's a long way from home. What do you think? Did you read the comic? Did I get something wrong? If I do and you guys let me know, I'll include a correction section in the next episode and I'll credit the user. Let's continue the discussion on social media and the YouTube VOD. You can find me at MandrameThunder on Twitter and at Team_Thunder on YouTube. If you're looking for another podcast to listen to and you're a Spider-Verse fan, then check out Accelerated Visions, a Spider-Man 2099 podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere you can find podcasts. If DC is more your thing and you want to hear about Aquaman, King of the Seven Seas, check out Water Damage, an Aquaman podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere you can find podcasts. Be sure to follow those in this podcast to get episodes as soon as they drop. Mandrame out.
What time up mean?